Hey Medleonaires, today I'm coming to you with a story time. And this is a story time that I never thought I'd have to experience. And it is about wandering. It's the day that my son, who has autism, escaped out of the house and wandered.
That's when I realized I wanna make a difference, change other people's lives, give hope even for a moment, use my name for good, and change the game I could.
So, um, this was just seeming like a regular old Monday, a regular old morning. Just everything seemed normal. He woke up before I was ready to get out of bed, which he is an early riser normally. Lately, it's been getting worse, but not worse. Lately, he's been not wanting to get out of the bed. But um, before, he was an early riser, and he always woke up before me. It was not abnormal for him to play. Chair. It was not abnormal for him to play for a little bit before I got all the way out of the bed. I was alert but not moving around. Um, I don't know if all mothers have this, but I believe that all mothers have it. This sense of you're aware, even when you're half asleep. Like, it was one of those mornings, and he had just gotten this new little ride-on scooter, and so he had been obsessed with going down and playing with that immediately once he woke up. So I'm thinking he's down there playing, and then after a couple of minutes, it had to be less than 10 minutes, it was not that long. After a couple of minutes, I was like, why don't I hear him? I don't hear him, making his normal vocalizations. He was very vocal. He would make sounds and different things like that. And so I got up and I went around my corner. If you see these stairs right here, around the corner is my bedroom. So I went around the corner, and as soon as I got to the top of these stairs, I could see my front door, and I saw it was wide open. I freaked out. I don't even know if I flew down the stairs or, like, I don't even know how I got down the stairs. I flew down the stairs. I ran out the house, and immediately when I got out front, I didn't see him anywhere. I was thinking that hopefully he would just be right there, or, somewhere where I could see him. No, he was nowhere in my view. And just talking about this brings back the anxiety from what that felt like. My neighbors had just recently gotten a above ground pool that was about maybe 5 feet deep, 4 feet. It was not a teeny tiny little pool. Even with a teeny tiny pool, I'd be scared. But they had just gotten an an above ground pool, and they have no fence, and so it was just free to get into. We have a fence around our backyard, so I would notice that he was trying to get to that pool and would watch it, and so my immediate thought was that he was floating in that pool. It scared me so bad. I took off running and ran to the pool, and he wasn't in the pool. I took a breath of relief, but I still didn't see him anywhere. So I go darting back out front. There's a business across the street from my house, and they were outside working. They repair different, they repair different furniture items. So they were outside repairing, and so I'm screaming and running towards them, and I was like, have you seen my kid? Have you seen my kid? My little kid? And I'm like, I probably didn't even make sense because I was screaming and just frantic and crazy. And he said, no. He was like, you need to call the police. And so by that point, my daughter was outside, and she had heard me screaming and running through the streets. So she came down to find out what was going on, and I looked at her and I said, call the police. And so she went in, called the police, and then she came back out. Meanwhile, I'm yelling at any person I see, have you seen my kid? Have you seen my kid? The lady who lives across the street from me was getting in her car, and she was, I don't know, getting ready to leave, go somewhere. And so she got out, she said, no, I haven't seen him. She drove off, and then a few minutes later, she came back. and she was like, he's over there. So she found him. He was actually in the neighbor's yard. He had crossed a fairly busy street and was in their swing. And they had like a baby swing. So once he was in there, he wasn't getting back out. He was pretty stuck in that swing. But he had gotten in the swing and was just swinging. Not to mention, he was naked with one sock on. And I don't know much about a lot of kids, but I know that this kid hates clothes. He hates clothes, and we were potty training, so at that time, I really did not worry about him being clothed or not, and honestly, I still don't. Like, I try to keep his clothes on, but if he's at home, it's his own environment, really. But he, so yeah, he was naked, but I think he had one sock on. He had gotten, what did he get in his hair? I don't even remember. He had gotten slime or something weird, strange in his hair the night before, and I had not washed it out yet. I was planning on doing that day, so I had not washed his hair. He had slime in his hair. It looked messy. He was naked. He looked like some kid that had no parent. Like, it looked horrible, and by the time I got over to him, there was a police officer standing there, so I think someone else had called the police. There is another business that was on the corner, and I think maybe they called the police. They saw this kid wandering. In fact, I think they said several people called the police. So by the time I got over there, he was standing there with him, and the look on this police officer's face was like, I was the worst parent ever. I hated the way he looked. I was frantic. I was crying. I couldn't even think straight. I just kept saying, Justice, how are you? What are you doing? Why did you get out? Like, trying to talk to him, but he was not connecting, not understanding. He was just looking at me like, what? I went to the playground. I don't understand what's everybody staring at me for. I just went to the playground, but he could have been so hurt. And so I was thanking God at that moment, but I was still just on edge. And I grabbed him. The officer asked for my phone number and my address, and he asked briefly what happened. And, I told him, I was like, I was paying attention, but I could not have lost my attention from him. I could not have been sidetracked for more than 10 minutes. I know it. Like, I am not that parent. I am not that mother. I am not a helicopter mother either. And so I sometimes let them play, especially when I'm tired. Sorry, but it's a lazy thing to do. But what mother has not done that? I doubt any of them can say that. But anyway, so as I was coming back with him, the police officer followed me up the street. I saw him drive and follow me, and he's just checking me out. I guess he's trying to see what the house environment is like, and my other kids have both been outside standing in the driveway. They were just looking, just like waiting to find out if I found him or not. And so the police officer drove by, kept going, and it had to be a couple of weeks later that I get a call from my husband when I had taken my daughter out to get her hair done. I get a call, and he says, Child Protective Services is at our house, and they want to interview us about justice. Never in a million years did I think I would have to have Child Protective Services on me. Like, I am a good mother, trust me. I have followed that little boy around at every park because he's a wanderer. I knew he was a wanderer. I had just never had any experience with him leaving out of the house or any of my kids leaving out of the house without permission. That was brand new to me. And so I freaked out immediately, and I got my mama bear kicked in, and it's like, nobody's taking my kids away from me. They need to chill out. I'm a good mom. I mean, of course I know they're doing a good thing by checking into it, but no, I was immediately protective and I wanted to be home during that first visit. But anyway, my husband handled the first interview. I talked to the lady over the phone a little bit, and she did confirm to me in that conversation that she was not really worried about his safe being, but they had to do this follow-up. But after seeing our house and our environment and our family, she was not concerned. They did have to do another follow-up, and they did tell us to make sure that we do something as far as locks to keep him safe, to keep him from doing that again. So we were like, no problem. I was so shook up for the rest of that day that it happened that I was following him around. Like, literally, if I didn't hear a sound, I'd be like, where's he at? What's he doing? What's he at? What? Still, to this day, I kind of do that. Like, I still freak out every once in a while and think that he somehow managed to get out, even though we changed our locks a couple of times. We changed our locks. We did a couple of different things to make sure that he cannot get that lock open, at least for couple more years. You know, he will get taller and smarter and things like that, so we'll have to up the security every so often. But we also we had his bed in our room, and I have not moved it out of our room because of the fact that we have one of those child handles to where they can't open it. We have that on the inside of our door, and so we basically lock him in the room at night with us, to where he can't get up and wander before we're alert enough to figure out what's going on. So that has been interesting, and I pray that one day he will understand those dangers. I'm doing everything I can to help keep him safe. He started swim lessons. I'll try to include a little video of that. It's so cute and it's so awesome. But these swimming lessons are specifically for kids with autism, and they get a teacher to teach them one-on-one about water safety, about swimming and all of that. So I'm very happy to have him in that. That does make me feel a little bit better. However, crossing streets and things like that, he just does not understand the danger of it all. So CPS, they eventually, did they come back by? I think they just called me for a follow-up interview. I don't remember. No, she came back by because I met her the second time. I didn't get to meet her the first time. So she came back by and just wanted to make sure that we've made some steps towards keeping him safe, and just wanted to follow up. So she went on and closed the case and said, I have no worries, and that, you know, we just had to follow up on it. It's just procedure when a kid wanders or gets out of the house, or, you know, is that type of thing. So I was relieved that she let all that go, and that they were able to see that he does have a good home. It was just one of those random things that you never think happens. So yeah, I wrote down some statistics on wandering and autism, and this comes from the Autism Speaks website, which, if I can just warn one person and prepare you for the dangers that may come with a child that has been diagnosed with autism, that is what this story is meant to do, is to help you. Roughly 49% of children with autism attempted to elope from a safe environment at a rate that is nearly 4 times higher than their siblings, than their unaffected siblings. And it's crazy because I'll mention something that my kid with autism does, and somebody will say, oh yeah, my kid did that. It's hilarious how people do that, but they don't understand it is more severe with a child with autism. Not to mention, they don't understand the danger of it all. They don't understand the danger of crossing the road, or of animals, or of getting into things that are dangerous. And so it's a very, very scary situation. It says 40% of parents have suffered sleep deprivation due to the fear of elopement. I mean, I can't even describe to you what goes through your mind when you think you're asleep, and then all of a sudden you're up, like, where's he doing? What's he doing? Where's he at? Even though he might still be in his bed, it's just that automatic fear. And not to mention, he likes to get up in the middle of the night and take off running towards my door. And if we happen to leave it just cracked before we fall asleep or something, he'll run out the door and scare us, thinking that he's going to fall down the stairs. So yeah, half of the families report they had never received advice or guidance about elopement from a professional. And so that's why I really felt the need to put this video out, because it's not something they warn you about. It's not something that you prepare yourself for. Yeah, you put the child locks on. We had the handle locks on some doors, but we had never experienced him unlocking the front door and opening it. Like, that was a new thing. He hadn't unlocked the door before then. He was just starting to try to get out and run away here and there, like he tried to open it. But this was a very new situation to us, and so I wish that someone had warned me about that. If I helped you in any way, please hit that thumbs up button, share, and make sure you're subscribed. If you would like to hear more information, I don't know how many of my subscribers have a child with autism or work with children with autism, or just like hearing the stories about autism. But if you do, make sure you leave a comment below and let me know, so that I know to continue to put this type of content in my videos. So I thank you very much for watching, and I thank you for your continued support. Stay tuned. I will have a giveaway coming up soon.